Right. I completely understand that. Okay, no. No. You're not understanding what I'm saying, Jill. No, I'm not calling you a doctor anything. You're not a real doctor. Yes, I understand you are your husband's caregiver. Yes, Jill, I understand he has to wear Depends. Listen. No, you listen, ma'am. The fact that you're allowing him to make a fool of himself is elder abuse, okay? I'm sorry. I have to call you back after the show. I'm going live. Bye. Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had me a pleasure to be tonight. Chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Sorry, I hope you like the way that opened. The things I find funny in my head are just absolutely stunning. Anyhow, thank you for being here with us tonight. Wow, what a day. As you all know, there was some strange things happening started yesterday evening throughout the day with AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, the healthcare industry when it comes to how we get our prescriptions. And there are some strange reports coming out about what all caused that. Okay. Let's talk about what we know for a fact. We do know that the health industry has said that it was a cyber attack on them, and it affected not only places like CVS and Walgreens and Walmart pharmacies, but also even some military installations here in America, their pharmacy system. And they have said, yes, it was a cyber attack. At the same time that took place, coincidentally, it happened also to AT&T. And it was first reported that it was also Verizon as well as T-Mobile. Now, T-Mobile and Verizon are saying that they don't believe they were affected at all. It was the fact that so many of their customers were reaching out and calling people that used AT&T, since AT&T is the majority of the people who have cell phone services through, that it was actually they couldn't get through, and therefore they thought that it was their network. AT&T has yet to admit one way or the other. Okay? Now, let me tell you exactly what AT&T has said in their press releases today. There's been 3 of them. The first one was at 10:15 a.m. Central Time. And they said, quote, and you can see this on their website, by the way. Some of our customers are experiencing wireless service interruptions this morning. Our network teams took immediate action, and so far, 3/4 of our network has been restored. We're working as quickly as possible to restore service to remaining customers. Then at 2:10 p.m. Central Time, their next press release was, we have restored wireless service to all of our affected customers. We sincerely apologize to them. Keeping our customers connected remains our top priority, and we're taking steps to ensure our customers do not experience this again in the future. Then this evening at 6:46 p.m. Central Time, and listen to the key words here. Based on our initial review, we believe that today's outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, not a cyber attack. We are continuing our assessment of today's outage to ensure we keep delivering the service that our customers deserve. So, we believe it wasn't a cyber attack. Now, I can only tell you this much. I don't know one way or the other. We do know that it happened at the exact same time that the health industry was having problems with their network throughout the pharmacy system. Okay, that's a fact. I've reached out to my contacts at the Pentagon, at the FAA, as well as in federal law enforcement. And they believe it was definitely a cyber attack that affected all of this. And it is being downplayed by the Department of Justice to protect the Biden administration because of how bad it will look as we're this close to the election in November. Now, whether or not that's factual or not, I don't know. I know about as much as you all know, okay? But I do have contacts in places that I talk to try and get more accurate information. And everything is pointing to AT&T is lying right now. They don't want to admit what happened. And Joe Biden sure as hell doesn't want them to admit what happened, because this Build Back Better America shit was nothing but a crappy ass slogan that didn't work. We have built back absolutely nothing better in this country. Nothing. Everything the Biden administration has touched, they broke it. Okay, moving on. On Tuesday's show, I told you about illegal aliens in California and in DC being allowed to vote and run for office. And I explained that this is the reason why the Biden administration and Democrats do not want to close our southern border. They want these people to come over here because they know that if they allow them to vote, then they will vote Democrat, because that's who allowed them into the country. All right. So we reported on that yes, in California and in DC, right outside the White House, that they are allowing illegal immigrants to serve in city government positions. That's illegal. That's against our Constitution. All right. Moving on, the New York State Appeals Court has denied an attempt by Democrat New York City leaders to implement a law that would let non-citizens vote in local elections. That's breaking right now. In a 3-1 ruling that took place by the appellate division of the Second Judiciary Department, the body said the law violated the New York Constitution, the United States Constitution, and municipal home rule law. It must be declared null and void. The court said in a 43-page ruling, this law the Democrats passed back in December of 2021. Who knew that they were allowing illegals to vote going back to 2021? I repeat that. This law the Democrats passed in December of 2021 by the Democrat City Council created a class of municipal voters comprised of non-citizens who reside in the city for at least 30 days before an election and register or pre-register to vote. Bam. Any other proof you need that Democrats have a reason why they don't want to enforce the border closing? Municipal voters would be granted the right to participate in elections for mayor, public advocates, controllers, president, and council members. The law faced legal challenges almost immediately. It would have allowed some 800,000 new eligible voters in a city of 8.5 million. However, the appellate court said that the clause in the state constitution that says every citizen shall be entitled to vote applies exclusively to U.S. citizens. And they tried to circumvent that by saying, oh, they're a citizen. Tricky, right? As there is no reference to what non-citizens are, and though an irrefutable inference applies that non-citizens were intended to be excluded from those individuals entitled to vote in elections, the court said. Seems pretty self-explanatory, but that's not how they play the game up there, is it? New York Mayor Eric Adams enacted the law upon taking office in January of 2022. It was ruled illegal 7 months later. The mayor defended the law, appealed to a lower ruling against it. So, once again, we can't win on the merits. We can't win on all the great things we've done to fix our country. All we can do is try and cheat. And that's what is happening on a massive, massive scale. Also on Tuesday, I told you about the Russian military general who recently spoke out about Russia using nuclear weapons against NATO countries over our support for Ukraine. Well, today, for the fourth time since he invaded Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin warned NATO and Western countries that his country's nuclear threats are not a bluff. His words. Putin issued the warning after accusing NATO and Western countries of resorting to nuclear blackmail, despite no NATO countries threatening to use nuclear weapons at all. The threat comes as Russian prospects of a Ukraine are grim, with Putin's military is losing thousands of square miles of territory to a Ukraine counteroffense. He said in his statement today, to those who allow themselves such statements regarding Russia, I want to remind you that our country also has various means of destruction and for separate components and more modern than those of NATO countries. And when the territorial integrity of our country is threatened, to protect Russia and our people, we will certainly use all means at our disposal. This statement should show the world, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Putin is mentally unstable, because no NATO country or NATO generals or anyone that leads a NATO country has threatened Russia with nuclear weapons. Ukraine's counteroffensives have pushed Putin and his Russian military towards drastic measures, with Russia announcing a partial military mobilization this past Tuesday. The policy will see the Russian military activate its reservists, civilians. All males in Russia are ordered to report to their nearest recruitment station to be processed into the military if they are deemed fit for service. Fear of a wider mobilization has reportedly caused a mass exodus of young men fleeing Russia since the announcement. Flights from Russia to countries that do not require visas were completely booked as of today, according to Russian media outlets. Putin says military service call-ups of civilians is necessary to protect our homeland, its sovereignty, and territorial integrity, to ensure the security of our people and people of the liberated territories. I'm telling you, the man is unstable, and this is some scary shit happening right now. Speaking of nuclear weapons, U.S. prosecutors have charged a Japanese mob leader with conspiring to traffic nuclear material from Southeast Asia to Iran. Prosecutors say the mob leader, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but I'll try, Takika Ambasia, showed samples of nuclear material to an undercover DEA agent posing as a narcotics and weapons trafficker with links to Iran. The nuclear material had been smuggled from Burma to Thailand, prosecutors said. The material was later seized, and samples were found to contain uranium with weapons-grade plutonium. He and a co-defendant appeared before a judge today in Manhattan federal court, where both pleaded not guilty. Their attorney mentioned that they were working on a possible plea deal with the government for his clients, though he did not give any specifics. DA Administrator Annie Milgram said these guys trafficked in drugs, weapons, and nuclear material, fully expecting that Iran would use it for nuclear weapons. This is an extraordinary example of the depravity of drug trafficking who operate with total disregard for human life, she said. The nuclear material came from an unidentified leader of an ethnic insurgents group in Burma who had been mining uranium in the country, according to prosecutors. These two had proposed that the leader sell uranium through him to fund weapons purchased from the Iranian general, court documents allege. Prosecutors said the insurgent leader provided samples which a U.S. federal lab found contained uranium and plutonium. The samples were found to be of weapons grade, meaning enough of it would be suitable for use in a nuclear weapon. They're being charged with international trafficking of nuclear materials, conspiracy to commit a crime or that crime, and several other counts that have not been released to the public as of today. Some scary shit out there. Let's talk a little bit about a Democrat in Alabama, shall we? Alabama House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels Jr., a Democrat seeking to represent the state's new 2nd congressional district. Turns out he was arrested back in the late 90s during a trip to Florida and later convicted on misdemeanor prostitution charges, according to public records. Police records of the arrest, which are obtained by Fox News Digital, differ significantly from Daniels' recollection of the incident some years later. You see, in 2009, he wrote a book. It was titled To Sweeten Alabama, a story of a young man defying the odds. Daniels described the arrest of him and a cousin, but contradicted the police account. He later pleaded no contest to the charge and paid a $180 fine. The incident took place on December 30th, 1999, as Daniels and a cousin were driving in Polk County, Florida, according to the Haines City Police Department report. The pair drove up to a woman who was a police officer posing as a prostitute in a sting operation, according to the police account, and began talking. As she approached the car on the passenger side, the driver then asked how much for sex. She advised him it's $20 for sex and $10 for oral sex. The driver said he wanted sex, and the passenger, the cousin, said he will take oral sex. An officer wrote in the affidavit. Daniels was later identified by the officer as the driver of the vehicle, and the cousin was identified as the passenger. The cousin at this point patted the officer's waistband and stated that he was looking for a GAT, G-A-T, which is referring to a gun, the officer wrote in their street slang, I guess. Asking the female officer point blank what she had in the front of her waistband, which was a pair of sunglasses. The two men were approached by police and taken into custody. Daniels was arrested on the spot, according to the officer's testimony, and was set free. And the cousin was set free due to a misdemeanor or misunderstanding or miscommunication between the officers. The cousin was later picked up by police and arrested also, the officer noted at the time. Despite the officer's statement that Daniels had mentioned wanting sex from an undercover officer, the Alabama lawmaker later recalled a different version of events. Daniels wrote in his book that the woman attempted to flag him down multiple times as he traveled to and from the gym during his trip to the Sunshine State. She was standing on the opposite side of the street, waving both arms in the air, Daniels wrote at the time in his book. While returning to the gym to retrieve a jacket, Daniels and his cousin saw the woman waving viciously while they were stopped at a red light, thinking that maybe she was in distress. Daniels told his cousin about seeing the woman earlier as they approached the woman to ask her if she was okay and what she wanted. Just great citizens, these two are. Daniels wrote that he told the undercover officer, who he recalled wearing loose jeans and a collared shirt, the reason he and his cousin stopped was because she was attempting to flag them down. She completely ignored me and initiated a conversation with my cousin, Daniels wrote. He said, Let me talk to her for a second. Daniels said in his book that he became uneasy about the woman and the entire situation and was overcome by nervousness and discomfort during this encounter. As the cousin ignored him and continued to joke around with the woman, Daniels wrote that he was thinking of ways to lure her away from him. Jokingly, I said, "This is an undercover police officer. Look at the shades hanging out of her pocket." He asked her, "You aren't an undercover cop, are you? Let me see." As he was asking the question, he began to grab for the glasses hanging out of the pocket. I could tell that this was definitely beginning to be a bad situation to be in. Daniels wrote, "I'm about to go," I said. As I started backing up my truck, police cars completely surrounded us, Daniels wrote in his book. After the police had blocked him in, I turned to my cousin and shouted, "You stupid fuck. What did you say to this woman?" Exploding in laughter, he said, "I was just joking with her. I was only playing around." Daniels wrote he was later approached by an officer and told to step out of the vehicle with his hands up before being searched and placed in the back of a police car. Man, Alabama, your Democrats are something else. Daniels alleged in the book that he overheard officers mentioning that my cousin had made a lewd comment by asking, "How much is it for some head?" To this day, I don't recall such a comment. I highly doubt my cousin would have said something so seriously wrong, especially since neither one of us had any money. Daniels did not address in his book the police officer's assertion that he had said he wanted sex from the undercover cop. Daniels noted in his book that officers eventually picked up his cousin. Following their arrest, Daniels wrote that his mother didn't believe his side of the story. Can't imagine why. He also noted in his writing that his parents decided not to invest in an attorney after they allegedly were told the charges would be dropped. "I was innocent," Daniels wrote. Daniels and his cousin entered a plea of no contest and were found guilty by the court in the summer of 2000, according to public records from Polk County Clerk of Courts. Both Daniels and his cousin pleaded no contest to charges of misdemeanor prostitution involving the use of a motor vehicle. Each paid a fine of $180. Daniels' cousin also pleaded no contest to battery charge. In a statement to Fox News Digital about the incident, Daniels said, "My recollection of the events of that day are very clear. I never solicited sex. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and any report that suggests otherwise is absolutely false. I've spoken about this incident many times over the years, including in my book, to encourage young people to be mindful of their surroundings and the company they keep, because you don't know the consequences, and they can be far greater than what I experienced," he continued. "It's a shame my opponents in this race are misrepresenting an incident in an attempt to score cheap political points. Alabama deserves better. From eliminating the state's income tax to overtime pay so working families keep more of their hard-earned money, to ensuring Mobile, Alabama, got its fair share to recover from the BP oil spill. I've always stood up for Alabama," he said. "These attacks cannot diminish the fact that I'm the best prepared candidate to serve the community and Congress." Daniels, who's also a former teacher, who has represented Alabama's District 53 since 2014, announced last November that he would run to represent Alabama's newly redrawn 2nd Congressional District seat, which is largely comprised of Black voters. According to his campaign website, Daniels grew up in Midway, Alabama, and graduated from Bullock County High School before earning a bachelor's degree and master's degree in education from Alabama A&M University. So, it sounds to me you wrote the book because you knew that you wanted to be in politics one day and knew that this arrest would eventually be exposed to the public, and anybody you're running against, looking into your background, is going to find it. Therefore, you wrote your version of the events that contradict the police and court documents. How nice. Yeah. And hey, look, here's the small print. I'll bet you they still vote this son of a bitch in. Damn near guarantee you he becomes a senator. $7.3 million immigrants have illegally crossed the southwest border under President Biden's watch, a number greater than the population of 36 individual states. A Fox News analyst finds that figure comes from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which has already reported 961,537 border encounters in the current fiscal year, which runs from October through September. If the current pace of illegal immigrants does not slow down, fiscal year 2024 will break last year's record of 2,475,669 southwest border encounters, a number that by itself exceeds the population of New Mexico, a border state. The total number of southwest land border encounters since Biden assumed office in 2021 is 7,298,486, according to the Border Patrol. That is larger, folks, than the population of 36 U.S. states, including Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Compared to the largest U.S. states, the 7.3 million number is about 18.7% of California's population of 39 million, 23.9% of the state of Texas and its 31 million residents, 32.3% of the population of Florida, 37.3% of New York. It's more than half the size of Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Ohio. You wonder why they're allowing this to happen? Voters. I will continue to say that. That's what it is. I've already proven it time and time again. That's their plan, my friends. Well, the number of illegal immigrants who entered the U.S. under President Biden gathered together to found a city. It would be the second largest city in America after New York. And the total does not include an estimate of 1.8 million known gotaways who invaded law enforcement, which would make it bigger than New York. Taken together, nearly 10 million illegals have crossed into the U.S. during the Biden administration so far. A record Biden's critics assert could only be achieved by intentionally refusing to enforce the law. This unprecedented surge in illegal immigrants isn't an accident. It is a result of deliberate policy choices by the Biden administration, said Eric Rocket, Director of Research and Numbers USA, a nonprofit that advocates for immigration restrictions. The Department of Homeland Security did not respond to a request for comment. Republicans and anti-illegal immigration activists have for years blamed Biden for allowing the current overwhelming surge of migrants by reversing former Donald Trump's border policies. The Biden administration has denied responsibility for the crisis and points to external push factors like violence and economic instability in South and Central America as the culprit responsible for vast waves of migration to the U.S. The president's critics say migrants face more of a pull factor from the form of job opportunities and government benefits than they do, and they know they will not face deportation under Biden's latent policies. The administration has refused to enforce existing immigration law and taken every opportunity to aid, abet legal border crossings. Through policies such as catch and release, mass parole, and offering temporary work permits to tens of thousands of foreigners who make dubious claims for asylum. In actual effect, the United States government is completing and competing in the human smuggling and trafficking process for the Mexican cartel. Aaron Mohem, a spokesman for the Federation of American Immigration Reform, said migrants have learned in the last 3 years that they won't face deportation for entering the country illegally. They have sent the signal that if you come here to the U.S. illegally, if you abuse the asylum system, you'll be released into the country and allowed to remain here, in most cases, given work authorization. Even if you neglect to show up for your hearing, the odds of you being removed are very slim. The president claims he doesn't have the authority to enforce our laws. He absolutely does. He is deliberately not enforcing those laws. Biden has called on Congress to pass new laws he claims would let him solve the border crisis. He endorsed a bipartisan deal in the Senate that included emergency border authorization to mandate Title 42 style expulsions of migrants when migration levels exceed 5,000 a day over a 7-day rolling average. It would also limit the window for people to apply for asylum, provided immediate work permits for asylum seekers, and fund a massive increase in staffing at the border and more immigration judges. But conservatives tanked the deal in the Senate after House Republicans declared it's a non-starter. They argued the bill would have normalized record high levels of illegal immigrants and said Biden currently has all the authority he needs to reenact Trump's policy and secure the border. While the debate rages, House Republicans have impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for fully refusing to enforce immigration laws. 2 impeachment articles advanced against him, accusing him of having to refuse to comply with federal immigration laws and violating the public trust. The Department of Homeland Security has criticized the effort as political, motivated, and instead insists the Biden administration is enforcing the laws on the books. Biden said that history will not look kindly on House Republicans for their blatant act of unconstitutional partnership and has targeted an honorable public servant in order to play petty political games. After lying to the American people over and over again that he has done everything in his power as president to help with the border crisis, and claiming that only Congress can fix the problem and must send the bill to his desk to sign, Biden is now considering executive action to restrict the ability of migrants who cross the U.S. border illegally to claim asylum. I told you many times that Joe Biden was not being honest, that he had the ability all along, just like Trump did, to shut down our southern border, yet he claimed he did not. He is a liar. Now, Representative AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has her panties in a wad and is highly upset. Taking to X, formerly Twitter, to accuse Biden of doing the same thing that Trump did, which is use presidential executive action. AOC believes everyone coming across our southern border are innocent women and children fleeing violence in Mexico, Central and South America. She does not recognize the Mexican drug cartels are running the show, sending over massive amounts of drugs, gang members, and sex trafficking of women and children. She, like her Democrats in D.C., refused to meet with the men and women on the border patrol or any law enforcement agency on our southern border to get the facts. She and her Democrat blowhards believe the bullshit that has been spewing from the Director of Homeland Security that he claims that the border is secure. Well, he's now been impeached for his lies. That's a lot of fucking people. Almost, if you look at the gotaways, we're looking at 10 million illegal immigrants. And now you know why. Everybody's been saying, why would he do this? Why are the Democrats not securing our border? Why? Why would you allow this to keep happening? Now you know. Voters. That's what they expect. And that's what they get, especially when now I've shown you that California, right there in D.C. and in New York, not only are they letting them vote, but they're also letting them run for office and be on councils. Hell, in California, they just let an illegal alien, a non-American citizen, be on the election board for election integrity. I told you about that on Tuesday. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. This is absolutely insane. And it just keeps happening because they don't care. Many users of Google are slamming them for their artificial intelligence tool known as Gemini as woke after it refused to show images of white people and created historical inaccurate images in the name of diversity. In response to the issue, Google announced the company is pausing the Gemini artificial intelligence imaging generation feature. According to the New York Post, some examples of artificial intelligence tool inaccurate creations when asked to generate images included a black man representing George Washington, an Asian woman representing the Pope. The Verge reported another example of Google's inaccurate intelligence analyst tool was discovered when generated Asian and black Nazi soldiers from 1943. Multiple social media users reported issues with Google's artificial intelligence tool. One user shared inaccurate photos that were generated with the software in response to various prompts. The images featured black Vikings, black and Asian founding fathers, and diverse popes of different races. We're aware that Gemini is offering inaccuracies and some historical image-generated depictions, Google announced Wednesday. Fox Business reported the outlet tested the Gemini software multiple times following the accusations against Google intelligence tool. The outlet noted that each time the image generator was asked to show images of white individuals, the software refused to display the photos, claiming that it reinforces harmful stereotypes and generalizations of people based on their race. When Fox Business asked the artificial intelligence tool to generate images celebrating the achievements of white people, Gemini responded, historically, media representations have overwhelmingly favored white individuals and their achievements. This has contributed to a skewed perception where their accomplishments are seen as the norm. while those of other groups are often marginalized or overlooked. Focus solely on white individuals in this context risks an imbalance. After thoroughly testing the software, Fox Business concluded that the only racial category Gemini refused to generate images for was white people. In a statement on social media Wednesday, Gemini Experience's Senior Director of Production Management, Jack Karatsky, addressed the controversy. "We're working to improve these kinds of depictions immediately," he wrote, "because we got caught." Gemini's OWL images AI does generate a wide range of people, and that's generally a good thing because people around the world use it. But it's missing the mark here. After assuring users that the issue was being addressed, Google announced Thursday that the company was going to pause the image generator of people and will reissue an improvement version soon. So I wonder, Google, since you own YouTube, if you plan to do anything to stop YouTube's blatant censorship of conservatives like myself and Republicans, or did you just not know that that's an ongoing problem in your system? They just didn't know. Folks, that was set up by design. They set that shit up on purpose. There's no other way you can put it. If you are a parent of a child still living in your house, it's under the age of 18, please listen to this next story very closely. Parents in Indiana are appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court after the state removed their child from their home for refusing to use the child's preferred name and pronouns. According to a case summary, the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty is representing Mary and Jeremy Koch and MC and JC versus Indiana Department of Child Services as the parents appeal their case to the Supreme Court. A Beckett press release that was published on February 15th explained that Mary and Jeremy's Koch's son informed them that he identified as a girl in 2019. However, due to the parents' Catholic belief that God created human beings as male and female, they refused to refer to him by his preferred name and pronouns. The press release noted that an investigation was launched in 2021 by the state of Indiana after Mary and Jeremy Koch refused to refer to their son using his preferred pronouns and name. A state court eventually removed the child from the Koch home and did not return the child despite all the allegations of neglect and abuse that were brought against them were dismissed by the courts. This is what every parent is afraid of, Mary and Jeremy Koch said in last week's press release. We love our son and want to care for him, but the state of Indiana robbed us of that opportunity by taking him from our home and banning us from speaking to him about gender. Mary and Jeremy Koch expressed optimism that the Supreme Court would agree to consider their case and provide a ruling that would prevent other Americans from facing the nightmare that they are faced with. Lori Wyndham, Vice President and Senior Counsel at Beckett, said no parent should have to face what Mary and Jeremy Koch have experienced. Keeping a child away from loving parents because of their religious beliefs, even when the state admits that there was no abuse or neglect, is wrong and it's against the law, she said. The court should take this case and make clear that other states can't take children away based on ideology disagreements. Wyndham said that removing a child from loving parents due to religious beliefs held by millions of other Americans is outrage with regard to the rule of law, the rights of American parents, and basic human dignity, she warned. This can happen in Indiana. It can happen anywhere. Think about that. The state of Indiana removed a child from a home for child abuse, and the abuse was the parents refused to call them by their pronouns. That's what's happening in the United States of America right now. Just one of literally thousands of some really screwed up things that we're faced with. It seems like every day it's something new. It's something sad. Forget disgusting or horrible. It's sad what we're becoming. Everybody has to get a prize. Everybody has to get an honorable mention no matter how bad they fucked up. We're letting criminals back out on the street after assaulting, after raping women. Hell, we're letting murderers out on the street. We need a serious wake-up call in this country. A lot of people say it'll be Donald Trump. We need him to come back into power. Look, I'm not going to advocate for Donald Trump or Joe Biden or anybody else right now. What I will tell you is that whoever that Republican person happens to be that goes up against this in this next election, and it's not going to be Joe Biden, if you don't already realize that. It's not going to be him. Even my dogs understand that. You hear them in the background? No, it's not going to be Joe Biden. Joe Biden, if he doesn't step down, will be removed at the convention for the DNC because they know that he can't debate anyone. He doesn't have the mental capacity to do that. He is mentally not all there. Whether it's dementia or whatever's happening, he doesn't have the capability to carry on a normal conversation. Hell, who falls upstairs? Joe keeps doing it. He just did it yesterday, if you haven't noticed that. They stopped allowing him to walk up the big stairs into the 747 on Air Force One and put in the little small stairs in the bottom part of the airplane, and he almost fell and busted his ass going up those stairs yesterday. It's right here you can look it up on YouTube. It's all over the freaking social media right now. He's going to fall and hurt himself really bad. He damn near did that because he forgot how to ride a bicycle not too long ago. It's just, it's elder abuse. That's what it is. Joe Biden and the Biden family, by allowing this to continue, is committing elder abuse. There's no other way of putting it. He's not capable, folks. And the Democrats know that. They see that. Okay? And they're going to do something about it. I really, really believe that. Joe Biden will not make it to the November election. I think he'll be removed before. But even if he's still alive come the November election, he won't be the person that runs against whoever that nominee is going to be on the Republican side. Whether it's Nikki Haley or whether it's Donald Trump, it's going to be one of the two. Nikki Haley's not backing out because she's banking on Trump being arrested. And then that's her key to run against whoever the Democrat's going to be. Because if Trump doesn't get arrested, he's going to be the next president of the United States again. I mean, that's just the writing's on the wall, folks. So whether it's him, whether it's Nikki Haley, whether it's Barney the Purple Dinosaur singing I Love You, You Love Me songs, We don't even know who the fuck's wearing that crazy dinosaur-looking suit, but we would vote for that person over Democrats that want to turn this entire country into wokeness and make us all a bunch of wussies. That's what Make America Great's about. Taking us back to basics. Basics of respect and decency. Love for country, our flag, our forefathers, freedoms. Learning that freedom must be fought for and handed down in generation after generation, or it goes away. We're the only country that hasn't fallen yet, and we're very close to it. When we have a Democrat Party that's on purpose allowing what's happening on our southern border because they want to allow them to vote, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about this party? That should wake up everyone. But sadly, it's not. I used to be a Democrat. I was a registered Democrat. I grew up in Louisiana. We all were back then. But that's not the same party that I used to belong to, what we have today. The days of JFK are long gone. The Democrat Party got hijacked by far-left liberal ideology and ruined it. And they're continuing to double down on stupid and ruin it and just run it into the ground. But sadly, they built enough of these far-left liberal nut jobs up to believe they're bullshit and believe that everybody does deserve an honorable mention and that we need $30 an hour basic pay, or everybody needs. It's sad. I'm preaching to the choir. I realize that. There's nothing you don't know. You all see what's happening. And the closer we get to November, the worse it's going to get. It's one of the reasons I'm very happy that, for the most part, all these problems that we were having with StreamYard working with Rumble has been fixed. So now my Rumble account for the Douglas Ducote Show is up and operational, and we're live there now. When we go out with this live show, we're live on Rumble, on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Well, I'm not in Facebook jail, but I'm happy that we're on Rumble live now, because as we get closer to the election and I start speaking out more about what's happening and what the Democrat Party's doing, people like me are going to be shut down more and censored more. And this show may just go away. It could go away at any moment because Google doesn't like what I have to say. They sure as fuck don't like political correct or people that are against political correctness, that's me, if you haven't figured it out yet. And I know plenty of people that have been on YouTube, and so do you, that have been removed for speaking the truth and putting facts out there because they don't want to hear that. It goes against their agenda. The ideology of controlling the people. And damn, they do a great job of it. I mean, why there was an all-out mutiny during the lockdowns and the mask bullshit, I don't know. But as we get closer to the election, more and more things are going to happen. More and more things are going to pop up. Whether it's the virus again, or it's the latest is measles. Outbreaks of measles in Hawaii and Florida and even in Louisiana. Measles. So how long before that becomes a big thing where Democrats are saying we can't go vote in public because you might get measles or who knows what else. Anyhow, I think you get the picture that this country is in really, really uncharted territory right now that's really bad. It's like having a bleed, like your leg is half cut off and you're swimming out in the ocean, bleeding out with sharks all around you. That's us. Literally trying to survive before we get eaten alive by the absolute insanity of the Democrat Party of today. You got many places you could be, chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Please subscribe to the channel if you've already done so. Let your friends and family know about the channel. Remind them that I'm not politically correct. I don't need a bunch of kids watching it and going, oh, did you hear what does that mean, Daddy or Mommy? Okay. It's not really a show for kids to be listening to, my friends. In the description of this video and all my videos and my shows, you can see the other place you can follow me on social media. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. That's how we do this. That's how we spread the word. As we're getting closer and closer and closer to the November election, we need to get the word out more and more and more to everybody. What the facts are, what's happening not only in our country, but in the world. And I try my best to bring you exactly the accurate information, spot on, the best I can. And when I get it wrong, and sometimes I do, I'm the first person to admit it. And that I think is what makes a lot of people keep tuning in. Because they know that I'm honest. And I'm just like one of you, wanting the best for my family and for my country. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, all their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Unless something breaks between now and next Tuesday, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're going to be doing. Please be safe. Watch your six. Take care of each other. Make sure you tell your family how much they mean to you and how much you love them, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon.